In the section we will see how to use preprocessor in jMeter. Now, what is preprocessor? Preprocessor in jMeter is used in the scenario where we want to perform some action before sending HTTP request or any other type of request to the server in order to get some response from the server. We send some request to the server and we get some request from the server. So preprocessor in jMeter will be used before sending the request. There may be scenario where we want to put some check before sending the request to server. This is possible only through preprocessor. So we want to do something before request is sent to the server. We want to do something to the request. We want to do some action. We want to add some input to the request. For that we can use preprocessor. Now let us see types of preprocessors in jMeter. So now one more thing, we will be now starting to work on jMeter. So for that we need to do some setting on the jMeter. So let us see how we will do it. Maybe we will not open browser in the today's session, but later on when we will be using it, it will be beneficial for it. So we have to do some setting on the Mozilla Firefox browser. So we need to follow the following steps to work on Mozilla browser. So these are the steps we will see. Open Firefox browser. Let us open it. We have to open Firefox browser, go to preference menu, select advanced tab, click network tab. This is preference tab. We will go to advanced, we will go to connection, we will go to settings, then we will check on manual proxy configuration, write localhost in HTTP proxy and set the port as 8080 and click on OK. This is the setting we need to do to start jMeter. So it is just for knowledge. We will not be doing anything. We will be covering the theoretical part to understand the concept so that we can use it later on according to our need. So sample time preprocessor. So for understanding sample time preprocessor, first of all we should go to the jMeter tool. In the test plan I am creating one thread group. In the thread group I am creating one sampler, HTTP request google.com, and let me open listener. We will use the topic later on, but I am choosing one listener. View results in table to see the result. I am saving it. view results in table.jmx, or I am making the test Google test. Since I am using Google website, I am naming it Google test.jmx. Now I am running the website. There is something wrong. Oh, actually the net is not working, so that is why this error is coming. I will go through the first sampler, first preprocessor to have you to get you understand of the basic idea of preprocessor, why preprocessor is used. So actually there is no internet connection. I am opening an internet connection. Now this is connected. Now I am clearing the console, clearing the log, and I am again running it. Let us see what's happening. See, this is HTTP request and it is showing status pass. Yes, I am able to open google.com page. Let me make my thread as 3. Now I am again running, clearing the console in view results table. This is used for clearing, and now I am again running the test for 3 threads. 3 threads means in layman language we can say that 3 users are opening google.com. We can see that sample time is 714, 620, 645. So when I will set the sample time out as 700, it is taking more than 700, it should fail, and this 2 should pass as this will be taking sample timeout less than 700. So let us first of all clear this and add one preprocessor sample timeout, and I am putting here 700. Now I am running the test. So all the 3 values are within 700 sample time sample time. So all these 3 tests has passed because sample time of all the 3 HTTP requests is less than 700. Let us again check it. Now see, one request has exceeded 700 milliseconds, so its status is showing as fail. All both these which has sample timeout less than 700 are pass. So this is how preprocessor is used. It is used to, it can be used to put some check on the input value to the request, or it can provide some input to the HTTP request. So first sample timeout we have understood. Sample timeout preprocessor, as we have seen, is used to define maximum time for the HTTP request, and all the HTTP requests which have sample timeout above the timeout in the millisecond set while configuring sample timeout preprocessor will result in failed test, as we have seen in the example. Bean cell preprocessor. Let us see in the tool itself. Let us delete all the things here, or let us delete this preprocessor. I will be adding another preprocessor. So adding preprocessor, bean cell preprocessor. Let us see how it's happened. We can write some code here And let us understand why bean cell preprocessor is used. We know that in most cases when we are sending request to the server, it contains one token variable which we generally call as session variable, so which changes from one request to another, but the pattern is more or less same, but and which can be developed using the code. We know that bean cell scripting is light-weighted language and very similar to Java language, so it is very easy to generate the token variable using the code written in bean cell scripting, which we can write here. You can see in the script section we can write the code and provide the variable used in the code in the HTTP request here in the form of parameter. Here name will be this and parameter value will be dollar variable name used in the bean cell scripting. So I am getting one variable which contains token variable random. Our script will generate random value which is assigned to one token variable, and that token variable will be used in the HTTP request here using dollar sign. Here I will use dollar and token variable name, and here I can use that where it is going to be put. Name will be decided here. It is not so commonly used, but yes, in the cases where scripting is required, this bean cell scripting comes to rescue and helps a lot. Otherwise it won't be possible. Bean cell scripting is very useful in some of the cases. Generally we do not use this bean cell preprocessor, but it comes to the rescue in certain situations. Let us consider the scenario where we are testing sampler or request to be sent to the server with the required token parameter which changes with each request. It can be any random string which can be generated using bean cell scripting and can be used as a preprocessor and help the request to be sent to the server with proper token parameter which can be session variable as well. We cannot hardcore string for all the request all the time, as it is quite impractical. We can easily use bean cell scripting as it is language quite similar to Java and lightweighted also. Now let us consider a scenario. Suppose we have session variable attached to the URL. We can generate the session variable using bean cell scripting and put the session variable under the variable name defined using the bean cell scripting. Now I am generating one session variable using algorithm. Now that algorithm will give some value in the output, some random output value. That random output value will be assigned to one variable, and that variable can be attached to the URL to get the request in special cases. Now let us see GSSR223 preprocessor. It is also quite similar to bean cell processor, and it also uses scripting, but the only difference is that this preprocessor can use additional scripting languages also, such as ECMAScript, Ruby, Java, JavaScript, Jaxal and Nason, HTML link parser. You can see it here. This is also same. We can write the script here and we can use it. We can give it input to the request. So it is also quite similar to bin cell scripting. I am removing it. Now I am going to another preprocessor, which is HTML link parser. HTML link parser is HTML link parser. You can see here. Now what it does? It suppose there is a page where there is so much link. So HTML link parser preprocessor gets all the link and click on all the links and get the response. So it is quite simple to use. There is no so much thing, and it is also not so much commonly used, and it is not used when we talk in load testing. So we will not go in detail for this period. Just we have to understand that suppose there is one sampler and there is another sampler. This sampler, there is one page, there is one IP which contains lots of link, and when I am using HTML link parser here, I will get all the links here in the second request, and in second request we get all the links will be checked, and result will be displayed showing whether all the links are active and working fine or not. So it is not of so much importance, so we will not discuss that in so much detail. HTML URL rewriting modifier. So it is sometimes very useful, not sometimes, many a times it is useful. This type of preprocessor can be used in the scenario when the connection string used in one request needs to be stored as session ID parameter, and uses that session ID parameter in other request. So every request, most of the request maintain session variable, and that session variable needs to be stored and used in other request. So for that, HTML URL rewriting modifier is of great use. We can use it here at we can use it here, session variable. It is also very simple to use. It is just used to add session variable, session ID parameter, that's it. Now JDBC preprocessor. This type of preprocessor is very helpful in some of the case where we want to run the test for all the values in the database, in particular table of the database. So we will fetch some value from the database, and that value which is fetched from database is used as input to the request sampler. We use query to fetch data from the database. You can see it here. Let us delete all this. We should make the same things simple. All these things will make the thing look messy. So I am removing all this, and now I am adding one preprocessor, JDBC preprocessor. Now this is, suppose I have to connect to SQL database, so I will write query like select star from employee table, employee from employee the name of the table, where, or we can say select username password from employee. it will generate all the username and password which is there in the table employee, and that username and password we can use in the HTTP request as parameter. We can send it as parameter to these requests. Now now it let us see one of the most useful preprocessor in jMeter, which is called regular expression user parameter per preprocessor. Many of the people who have worked on load runner tool use the term correlation, which is based on left boundary value and right boundary value, which is selected from the HTML page rendered from the web server. In order to generalize the value which can be accepted by all the requests, only condition of left boundary value and right boundary value should be satisfied for the taken variable, and any value which comes within the range of left boundary value and right boundary value will be accepted by web server for all the requests. What we do for getting left boundary value and right boundary value, we send request for the first time and we send the request for the second time. We see that some of the value changes while sending the same request to the server. So we first of all identify that value which is changing, and we take some HTML content from left side of the value and right side of the value and configure it in regular expression user parameter and use it for all the requests. So this is the thing, we just have to we capture left value of the content which is changing in HTML and right value of the content which is changing in both the request, and we will use it as left boundary value and right boundary value, and we can use that for all the requests. All the requests will be processed. It is not possible to hardcode session variable for all the requests. There has to be some mechanism which has to do so, and it is regular expression user parameter processor which comes to the rescue and provides mechanism to handle such situation. Suppose I am sending request to the server and I am getting some HTML from the HTML as response from the server which contains value 1 2 3 4 5 6. I am again sending the request to the server. It is sending the some value 3 2 1 4 5 6. So now the content is, suppose value is equal to so here we can see that, let us suppose that this is session variable. So left HTML value is this value barabar value is equal to, and right boundary value is equal to type is equal to. So when we will be using this, value is equal to, and type is equal to, and left boundary value and right hand value, all the value that is between this will be accepted by the web server from all the requests. So this is the main fundamental concept of regular expression user parameter. Now I am going to last parameter, user parameter preprocessor. User parameter preprocessor is very simple to use. We can create user defined variable and assign their values and use them in sampler. Let us see it. We are going to jMeter tool, and I am adding one preprocessor. This is user parameters, and I am adding variable username, password, for username it will be so suppose I am adding thread group for, let us make it simple. I have defined username and password, and I can use this variable here in the name, username value is equal to $username. So by using user parameter we can define variable and assign its value, and that can be used in HTTP requests. That is all the funda of user parameter preprocessor. It is very simple to use. We can use it as per our requirement. So this is all about preprocessor.